Jnanam Satyam Jnanam Jyoti Aravinda Jyoti Aravinda Jyoti Aravinda. So when you think, Are Isha? Oh wow, welcome. Okay, so when we think of the earth element, those of you who are in the morning class not allowed to answer, but otherwise what comes to mind when you think of the earth element? Earth. Huh?
I didn't understand your question.
Like water, fire, if you think of earth, what are its characteristics? Solidity, groundedness, faith, constant, and the fact that it never reacts. You stamp on earth, you hit, you spit, earth just widens and absorbs everything. So it's the element of complete equanimity, non-reactivity, never loses its ground. Every time we react, we are losing our psychological ground in one sense, isn't it? So we are losing our earth element psychologically. Every time there's pain in the body or inflammation, that's physical reaction, right? So the physical is losing its earth element. So either way, when you strengthen the earth element in you, you strengthen the capacity to be non-reactive. I don't mean non-reactive in a way that you suppress. The earth doesn't suppress anything. She just absorbs and doesn't react. So two qualities of earth that we largely focus on today are faith and equanimity. Earth is the element of rock solid faith, and earth is the element of complete non-reactivity or complete equanimity. Okay, so mother's words. Incidentally, for those of you who don't know, today is the day mother came to Pondi for the first time, 29th April. So, earth, faith. This is a very beautiful passage mother has written about faith. Faith is certainly a gift given to us by the divine grace. It is like a door suddenly opening upon an eternal truth through which we can see it, almost touch it. So faith is a door opening on an eternal truth. What is the eternal truth? That everything is the divine, that everything is divinely orchestrated, that everything is perfectly as it needs to be, even if my mind keeps saying this or that. That is an eternal truth. But faith is a door which opens inside us so we catch a glimpse of this eternal truth. As in everything else in the ascent of humanity, there is the necessity, especially at the beginning of personal effort. It is possible that in some exceptional circumstances, for reasons which completely elude our intelligence, faith may come almost accidentally, almost unexpectedly. So, I'm just remembering somebody I know who lives abroad and who's combating the possibility of a very difficult to heal illness. So tests are in process and the person doesn't really know. And one day he said that he was feeling very, very jittery, very, very nervous. What will happen if it goes this way? What will happen if it goes that way? What if the diagnosis is this? And he was really praying to the mother. He's a devotee. And suddenly he said, such a strong feeling of a faith descended that no matter what, it's going to be fine. And he said, suddenly everything in me was brought to the peace of knowing that it'll all work out. And well, everything is still in process. I'm not saying his illness is healed, but the prognosis and the ongoing steps were much better than what he expected. So mother says that if you're given faith in a certain outcome, it means that outcome has already been sanctioned on another plane. So beautiful, no? If that faith comes to you, the fact, like suppose the faith comes that it's going to be fine, no matter how it looks, it's going to be fine. It means that on another plane, that good outcome has already been sanctioned. So that's what, when I read this passage, just few days back, this person told me this story of how he was given faith actually as a gift. He was all over the place and he was desperately praying to the mother, and suddenly faith actually descended into him and brought him to peace. So it makes me think that whatever mother writes, it's so anchored in truth. At some point or the other, one or the other of us experiences it.
But what if we visualize the faith?
That's also good, but the real is always better than visualization.
How do we know that whether we are visualizing or whether solid feeling?
If you're asking that question, see, for this person, he will not ask me because it was so concrete, there's no doubt in his mind. And you can't really visualize faith. How can you visualize faith?
Just thinking that, yeah, it's going to be.
But if your mind believes it, it's faith, na? You can think it's all right, but your mind will many times keep saying, I want to believe it, but, or somewhere you will say, yeah, I believe it, but inside you're quivering. So that's not faith.
But even when you say it's going to be all right, it doesn't have to be all right. Whatever happens is all right.
You have faith that you will be all right.
Yeah.
That's the faith. So, as in everything else in the ascent of humanity, there is the necessity, especially in the beginning, of personal effort. So the personal effort for this person who was ill, he really desperately prayed to the mother. That was his personal effort. It is possible that in some exceptional circumstances, for reasons which completely elude our intelligence, faith may come almost accidentally, quite unexpectedly, almost without ever having been solicited. But most frequently, it is an answer to a yearning, a need, an aspiration. Faith comes as an answer to an aspiration, something in the being that is seeking and longing, even though not in a very conscious and systematic way. But in any case, when faith has been granted, when one has had this sudden inner illumination, in order to preserve it constantly in the active consciousness, individual effort is altogether indispensable. So, for example, this person, when he was very worried about his health, he prayed to the mother, he got faith. But maybe he'll sleep at night, maybe the subconscious will throw out fresh fear, maybe he'll wake up again feeling scared. So he has to keep going back and draw on his faith again and again. Personal effort is constantly required because again and again we'll slip back. But in any case, when faith has been granted, when one has had this sudden inner illumination, in order to preserve it constantly in the active consciousness, individual effort is altogether indispensable. One must hold on to one's faith, will one's faith. One must seek it, cultivate it, protect it. So that's very important. Mother may give you the faith as a gift, but you have to constantly cultivate it, nurture it, tap into it, not believe thoughts that contradict it. And this is not just faith in crisis. Every time we lose our feeling about life, every time life seems a drab, somewhere we've lost faith in the divine, no? So every time we feel blah about life, somewhere we've lost faith in the divine, at least in some surface part of us. This is also very beautiful. All Mother's words are beautiful. Integral faith can change others, she says. It is not really by what is called blind faith that people are misled. They often say, oh, I have believed in this or that man and he has betrayed me. But in fact, the fault lies not with the man, but with the believer. It is some weakness in himself. If he had kept his faith intact, he would have changed the man. Quite a shocker, no? It is because he did not remain in the same faith consciousness that he found himself betrayed and did not make the man what he wanted him to be. If he had had integral faith, he would have obliged the man to change. It is always by faith that miracles happen. A person goes to another and has a contact with the divine presence. If we can keep this contact pure and sustained, it will oblige the divine consciousness to manifest in the most material. So we all have difficult people in our lives, and Mother says somewhere our integral faith that they are also the divine is not integral for us. It's not total for us. So because that is not total for us, the person remains what the person is. But if our faith was integral, that everything is the divine, so another place she says it beautifully, that if you approach the worst human being from the highest in you, the highest in that human being is obliged to come forward. But you have to have faith in the highest in you and have faith that that highest in that human being exists, even if it's masked. And if you approach from that space, you bring out the highest in the person. A pure faith is something all powerful and irresistible. One doesn't often find a faith that is all powerful and irresistible, and this shows that it is not quite pure. The question should be put like this: each one of us has a faith. For example, a faith in something, say a faith in the divine presence within us. If our faith were pure, we would at once be aware of this divine presence within us. This example is very easy to understand. You have faith, it is there, but you don't have the experience. Why? Because the faith is not pure. So we all are told again and again that we have something beautiful waiting inside us. Like we started class today with this concept of a waiting love inside us. Mother says in Savitri that deep inside you there's a waiting love waiting to be discovered. But something in us doesn't really fully believe that this magic exists inside us. It's not an integral faith. Mother said if your faith in that was integral, you'd realize it at once. But you don't really believe it even though you'd like to. If the faith were quite pure, immediately the thing would be done. This is very true. So when you become aware that the thing is not realized at once, you can begin to look But why isn't it realized? What is there in my faith? And if you go on looking with the same sincerity, you will find that there are many little things in it. So many little things, not big, as big as this, which are repulsive, little things. So many times a little conceit comes in, and then a desire, not a very violent one. It doesn't show itself very much. The importance it gives you, the power it will give you, and the satisfaction it will give you. That takes away the faith, basically desire, ego, all that. Mother further says, I insist that the more difficult things are, the more you must remain quiet, and the more you should have an unshakable faith. Of all things, this is the most important. Look what she's saying. I insist, not that I'm telling you or you should. I insist that the more difficult things are, the more you must remain quiet, and the more you should have an unshakable faith. Of all things, this is the most important. Face suffering with courage and faith in the grace. Quite naturally, we ask ourselves what the secret is towards which pain leads us. For a superficial and imperfect understanding, one could believe that it is pain which the soul is seeking, nothing of the kind. The very nature of the soul is divine delight, constant, unvarying, unconditioned, ecstatic. But it is true that if one can face suffering with courage, endurance, and unshakable faith in the divine grace, if one can, instead of shunning suffering when it comes, enter into it with this will, this aspiration to go through it and find the luminous truth, the unvarying delight which is at the core of all things. The door of pain is often more direct, more immediate than that of satisfaction or contentment. So she's saying, don't seek pain, but if pain comes, don't buckle. Go through the pain. Ask yourself, why has it come? What's the cause? How can I grow from it? What can I learn from it? Because life will never give you more pain than what's good for your growth. And it always holds a secret gift for you. So ask, what is that secret gift? A cure for fear. If you have fear and are consecrated to the divine, there is a very simple way. It is to say, let your will be done. Nothing can frighten me because it is you who are guiding my life. I belong to you and you are guiding my life. This you should learn up like a mantra. When there's difficulty, Mother says to say, let your will be done. Nothing can frighten me because it is you who are guiding my life. I belong to you and you are guiding my life. Nothing can frighten me because you are guiding my life. I belong to you and you are guiding my life. That acts immediately. Of all the means, this is the most effective. Indeed it is. That is, one must be truly consecrated to the divine. If one has that, it acts immediately. All fear vanishes immediately like a dream, and the being with the bad influence also disappears like a dream along with the fear. You should see it running away at full speed, voila. It is only by remaining perfectly peaceful, calm, with an unshakable confidence and faith in the divine grace, that you will allow circumstances to be as good as they can be. So difficulties come, but Mother says that by having a peaceful calm and an unshakable confidence and faith in the divine grace, you will allow circumstances to be as good as they can be. The very best always happens to those who have put their entire trust in the divine and in the divine alone. Never grumble, Mother says. All sorts of forces enter you when you grumble and they pull you down. So even if things are difficult, Mother says don't grumble, even in your mind. Because whenever you grumble, all sorts of negative forces enter and pull you down. Keep smiling. I seem always to be joking, but it is not mere joking. It's a confidence born from the psychic. So beautiful. If you role model Mother, God, we all know, running the ashram and all that, it had its fair share of difficulties and upheavals. But this Mother was always smiling, always joking. And she's saying it's not because I would take things lightly, but I could always laugh because I knew God would take care of it. So it expresses a faith a smile expresses a faith that nothing can stand against the divine, and that everything will come out all right in the end. Nothing can stand against the divine, and that everything will come out all right in the end. So these are words from Savitri, page 499. Happy are they who in this chaos of things, this coming and going of the feet of time, can find the single truth, the eternal law. Untouched they live by hope and doubt and fear. Happy are men anchored on fixed belief in this uncertain and ambiguous world, or who are planted in the heart's rich soil one small grain of spiritual certitude, who have planted in the heart's rich soil one small grain of spiritual certitude, confidence. Happiest who stand on faith as on a rock. Such a beautiful line. Happiest who stand on faith as on a rock. So, to sum up, the first part of the earth element is faith. Faith in what? Faith in the fact that everything is the divine. Faith in the fact that there's that line in Savitri, one who has shaped this world is ever its Lord. He has absolute control. He is controlling everything. Even a leaf falling from a tree doesn't fall without the divine sanction. So if that one is controlling everything, and that's the intelligence of the whole, that intelligence has to be working for the highest good of all, right? Including me. So again, that line from Savitri, whether it seem good or evil to men's eyes, only for good the secret will can work. So very often my mind will constantly say good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. But faith is believing that beyond good and bad, there is a field of Bhadram, the eternal good. And everything from behind the veil is coming out from that field. So disbelieving your mind's assessment of something, and having faith that beyond how my mind's seeing it, there's another vision. From that vision, everything that's happening is perfectly as it needs to be. And that brings you to equanimity. You can't have equanimity without this faith.
So if we pray for a particular outcome, is that an impurity in our faith?
It is a lack of surrender, but surrender is not an easy thing. I keep hearing people saying I've surrendered it, but very often it's lip service. Real surrender is when I'm really telling Mother, do your will. You have total freedom from me, do your will. And that is very difficult to come to. So long as I have a prayer for an outcome going a certain way, it's fine. Mother's not against it. She says, certainly pray. But be honest with yourself and know that, yes, I'm not surrendered in this part of my life. Yeah? So now we come to, or if you really want an outcome and she is more than a living mother for us, who else will we ask her for? So we can ask her, Ma, I want this to happen, but let your will be done. And if something other than what I'm asking for comes, give me the grace to accept it with a smile. That would be a good prayer. Yeah? So not an insistence that I want it this way only, because very often if it goes there was a beautiful, beautiful prayer of Champaklalji I was hearing in Gujarati. It says that Nishfalta is failure. He said that what I see as Nishfalta or failure is not really failure, but it's the grace of the All-Merciful One. And he's praying to the mother that let this truth enter me deeply, that what I'm calling failure is also your grace. So when I don't get the outcomes I'm praying for, that is a bigger grace sometimes. But we need so much grace to accept this truth inside us. So it's such a beautiful prayer. He's praying to her that if Nishfalta, Pal is fruit, Nish is lacking of the fruit. If Nishfalta comes, that is also your grace, and let this truth enter deep, deep, deep inside me. So now we come to equanimity. So we'll come to the lines of Savitri a little later. We come to the passage. Equality means a quiet and unmoved mind and vital. It means not to be touched or disturbed by things that happen or things said or done to you, but to look at them with a straight look, free from the distortions created by personal feeling, and to try to understand, this is Sri Aurobindo's words, yeah, what is behind them, why they happen, what is to be learned from them. See, when we don't have equality and things upset us, we get so lost in the emotion that we lose all clarity of vision. So Sri Aurobindo is saying equality is to look at all things with clarity, to not get lost in emotion, and to look at them without personal bias, without a personal feeling of you're doing it to me, that you're doing it to me. For example, if somebody tells you some harsh words, if you're poised in equanimity, you can also see that those words are legitimate. But if you're not poised in equanimity, you won't see even if there's truth in those words. You will just bring in the personal bias, the person's just saying it because he wants to make me wrong. But maybe sometimes it's not that. Maybe there is a truth in the criticism. But because you get so egoistic about it and so unequal in yourself, you don't see the truth in it. It means self-mastery over the vital movements, anger and sensitiveness and pride, as well as desire and the rest, not to let them get hold of the emotional being and disturb the inner peace, not to speak and act in the rush and impulsion of these things, always to act and speak out of a calm inner poise of the spirit. It is not easy to have this equality in any full perfect measure, but one should always try more and more to make it the basis of one's inner state and outer movements. Equality means another thing, to have an equal view of men and their nature and acts and the forces that move them. It helps one to see the truth about them by pushing away from the mind all personal feeling in one's seeing and judgment, and even all the mental bias. See, if you see two people interacting, you can see it with clarity. But if you are one of the two people interacting, your personal feeling will always distort the truth, isn't it? So it's always good to be a third person, even in your interactions. I'm feeling bad because it was said to me, but suppose it was said to her, would I still blame that person saying it so much? Just because it's said to me, why does the ego make everything so big? The same thing said to another and I'm witnessing it, I won't think it's so bad. Personal feeling always distorts and makes one see in men's actions not only the actions themselves but things behind them more often than not which are not there. Because it's said to me, I'll imagine all kinds of things which weren't intended. Misunderstanding, misjudgment which could have been avoided are the result. Things of small consequence assume larger proportions. I have seen that more than half of the untoward happenings of this kind in life are due to this cause. But in ordinary life, personal feeling and sensitiveness are constant part of human nature and may be needed there for self-defense, although I think even there a strong, large and equal attitude towards men and things would be a much better line of defense. But for a sadhak to surmount them and live rather in the calm strength of the spirit is an essential part of his progress. Yogic samatha is equality of soul, equanimity founded on the sense of the one self, the one divine everywhere, seeing the one in spite of all differences, degrees, disparities and the manifestations. Equality is the term of consciousness which brings into the whole of our being the nature of the eternal tranquility of the infinite. Moreover, it's a condition of securely and perfectly divine action. And so too we shall have the same equality of mind and soul towards all happenings, painful or pleasurable, very, very difficult. But that's what Gurudev asks us to do, to have the same equality of mind and soul towards happening painful or pleasurable. So, I mean, if we go by the role model he himself gave us, I think I told you this a few classes back on 24th November 1926, Siddhi Day. We all know that Krishna consciousness descended into Sri Aurobindo, right? And this story goes that after it happened, everywhere people were saying all kinds of things. And mother went to his room and said that Krishna consciousness descended today. So Sri Aurobindo was just unmoved, looking into space like a Himalaya of peace and saying, yes, now let's see what happens. Not jumping, not saying, oh wow, nothing like that. For an event of that magnitude which has never happened on earth before. And he was the Aadhar for it, but calm, undisturbed, not excited, not jumping about it. That's the whole thing. If we jump a lot about the good things, to that extent we'll go low when bad things happen. I'm not saying don't enjoy them, But if we get super excited about them, that excitement brings an attachment to them. And then when we get attached to them, when they are not there, the opposite of it is there, that's how low you'll go. So not to, see, there's that beautiful line in Rudyard Kipling's poem, if all men count with you, but none too much. Our problem is some people count too much, we give them too much importance, and we dislike some people too much. Now in sadhana, respect every human being as an Aadhar of God, but not too much attachment to one, not too much repulsion to the other. If all men count with you, but none too much. So he's saying, and so too we shall have the same equality of mind and soul towards all happenings, painful or pleasurable, defeat and success, honor and disgrace, good repute and ill repute, good fortune and ill fortune. For in all happenings we shall see the will of the master of all. This is your will. That's all. How beautiful when things go wrong. I can just tell mother, okay mother, it's your will, there must be something good in this also. For in all happenings we shall see the master of all works and results and a step in the evolving expression of the divine. He manifests himself to those who have the inner eye that sees, in forces and their play, and results as well in things and in creatures. All things move towards a divine event. Each experience, suffering and want, no less than joy and satisfaction, is a necessary link in the carrying out of a universal movement, which it is our business to understand and second. So he's saying that he manifests himself to those who have the inner eye that sees. So a person who has that inner vision sees a seed of grace even in disaster, because he can see that that disaster is paving the way for a future blossoming. All things move towards the divine event. The divine event is meeting that waiting love inside, is coming to the truth of yourself. Each experience, suffering and want, no less than joy and satisfaction, is a necessary link in the carrying out of a universal movement, which it is our business to understand and second. To revolt, to condemn, to cry out is the impulse of our unchastened and ignorant instincts. Yeah, when things go wrong, to revolt, to condemn, to blame, to cry is the impulse of our unchastened and ignorant instincts. Further, Sri Aurobindo's words, two largest and highest states of powers of consciousness are equality and oneness. So beautiful. Two things that are the highest powers of consciousness are equality, when we are equal to everything that happens, and oneness, when we really feel the one divine presence in everything and respect everything with that divine presence. Which is why sometimes when that goes very deeply into you, even in a joke, if you hear somebody saying something disrespectful towards another human being, somewhere it hurts you, because somewhere you're constantly thinking everyone is God and everyone should be respected. So not even in a joke can you really like another human being put down. Attaining to a perfect equality in the soul, mind and heart, we realize our true self of oneness, one with all beings, one too with that which expresses itself in them, and in all that we see and experience. This equality and this oneness are the indispensable twin foundation we must lay down for a divine being, a divine consciousness, a divine action. Not one with all, we are spiritually not divine, not equal souled to all things, happenings and creatures. We cannot see spiritually, cannot know divinely, cannot feel divinely towards others. So, okay, we are at this point where maybe we don't feel a oneness with everyone, but that's where the Gita's dictum, Yoya Shraddha Sa Eva Sa, whatever is your faith will become your reality. So if you constantly nurture the faith that this too is the divine, this person is also the mother. Any emotion I feel towards anyone, Sri Aurobindo writes in Synthesis of Yoga, you're feeling it towards God. It's a very sobering thought, na? Any emotion I feel towards anyone, I'm feeling it towards God. So to constantly remind yourself of that, and if that becomes your constant faith, it will become your truth little by little. Yoya Shraddha Sa Eva Sa. The function of prana is enjoyment, Sri Aurobindo says. But the real enjoyment of existence is an inward spiritual ananda, not partial and troubled like that of our vital emotional or mental pleasure, degraded as they are now by the predominance of the physical mind, but universal, profound, a vast concentration of spiritual bliss possessed in a calm ecstasy of self and all existence. So beautiful. He's saying the function of human prana is enjoyment, but the real enjoyment of existence is in spiritual anand, not the temporary pleasure we get, but the deeper anand of our true self. And Mother says a very beautiful thing. She says the vibration of pleasure and anand can't coexist. If you're in the vibration of pleasure, the same time you won't feel ananda. To feel ananda, somewhere you have to enjoy things, but without taking that excited pleasure in them. That excited, attached pleasure in things which are pleasant, that has to go. So this spiritual ananda is not partial and troubled like that of our vital, emotional or mental pleasure, degraded as they are now by the predominance of the physical mind, but universal, profound, a vast concentration of spiritual bliss possessed in a calm ecstasy of self and all existence. Possession is its function. By possession comes the soul's enjoyment of things. But this is the real possession, a thing large and inward. So we want to possess things we enjoy, right? We are possessive about people we are close to, but that's a partial possession. Sri Aurobindo says the real possession is when you're one with everything, then you possess everything, no, in the truth of your being. And that is the real possession. So when you are one with everything, you don't feel a need to grasp anything, no? When you are the ocean, do you want to take buckets of water? No, you are the ocean. So that's what he's saying. Possession is its function. By possession comes the soul's enjoyment of things. Now, many of you may be thinking that, what's the point of listening to this? I'm not going to experience this. Am I reading your mind? Yeah. But that's why I say, for some of us, it's so beautiful to read Mother and Sri Aurobindo, because if I tell you this, you'll immediately think, yeah, but it's not my experience. But when you read their words and really read it over and over again, they have a vibration where something in you will start vibrating. That's their legacy, their writing. Sometimes just to read it, it's the deepest meditation and it transforms you. See, test it out. I told you this truth, you heard it, but for many on your faces I could read that, yeah, but it's not my experience. But now just listen, I'm reading out his words, and see what you feel as you hear it in his words. Possession is its function. By possession comes the soul's enjoyment of things. But this is the real possession, a thing large and inward, not dependent on the outward seizing which makes us subject to what we seize. All outward possession and enjoyment will be only an occasion of a satisfied and equal play of the spiritual Ananda with the forms and phenomena of its own world being. The egoistic possession, the making things our own in the sense of the ego's claim on God and beings in the world, parigraha in Sanskrit is hoarding, encircling, must be renounced in order that this greater thing, this large, universal and perfect life may come. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. We did this last class. It's a line from the Isha Upanishad. Isha vasyam idam sarvam. All this is for the habitation of the Lord. Yat kincha jagatyam jagat. In all the worlds within the worlds, at the atomic level, at the subtle level, everything is God. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Bhunjita is to renounce. Bhunjita is to enjoy. Tyaktena is to renounce. Therefore, by renouncing enjoy, ma gridha kasya svidhanam. Why are you coveting wealth that's not yours? Everything belongs to God. Why are you trying to make it your own? Tena tyaktena bhunjita ma gridha kasya svidhanam. Why are you doing this and building your own prison? Actually, by renouncing attachment to things, enjoy, because when you renounce attachment, then you no longer are resonating to the vibration of pleasure. Then by and by you start resonating to the higher vibration of Ananda, which is the nature of your true self. So, tena tyaktena bhunjita, by enjoying the egoistic sense of desire, by renouncing the egoistic sense of desire and possession, the soul enjoys divinely itself and the universe. It, the true activity of the senses, is to record the divine or true appearance of things and return to them the reaction of an equal Ananda without dislike or desire. So beautiful. If the true activity of the senses, the eyes, the ears, is to record the divine or true appearance of things and return to them the reaction of an equal Ananda without dislike or desire. So when your inner senses awaken, they don't see ugly and beautiful. Behind the ugly, behind the beautiful, they just see an equal divine presence, and they respond to it and they enjoy it. A perfect equality of the will is the power which dissolves these knots of the lower impulsion to works. This equality will not respond to the lower impulses, but watch for a greater seeing impulsion from the light above the mind. So when you have this poise of equality, it dissolves the knots of the lower impulsion to works. What is the lower impulsion to works? Egoistic ambition. I must shine. I must be the best. I must be appreciated. These are the knots of the lower impulsions to work. This equality will not respond to these lower impulses, but watch for a greater seeing impulsion from the light above the mind, and will not judge and govern with the intellectual judgment, but wait for enlightenment and direction from the superior plane of vision. That's when it really becomes nishkam karma. You're not concerned with ambition, desire, fruit, appearance. You're doing it simply because it's the divine will. I keep coming back to that story in Mahabharata. After Arjun saw Krishna's Virat Swaroop and he avenged Draupadi, you know that story where she said, I will not tie my hair till you get me Dushasan's blood to whatever. And Arjun killed Dushasan and he went to Draupadi. And Draupadi was, we all know Arjun was her favorite, and she said that, Arjun, I knew you'd do this for me. And Arjun said, stop, Draupadi. It is true that when the war started, I wanted to kill to avenge you. But now I kill only for one reason, because Krishna bids me to. I did not kill Dushasan to avenge you. I did it because it was Krishna's will. So that's the impulsion of light which you just follow. The whole movement of nature becomes to its experience a person who is directly channeling the higher light and will, a rising and falling of waves on the surface that make no difference to its own unfathomable peace, its wide delight, its vast universal equality, its boundless God existence. So beautiful. Just imagining that state also touches something in you. When you become like that all emotions and thoughts become like waves on the surface that make no difference to your, I'm saying your own unfathomable peace, wide delight, universal equality and boundless God existence. Huh? So who did Arjun kill? Arjun killed someone, no, somebody to avenge Draupadi. But why would Draupadi have an axe to grind with Karna? Duryodhan, probably. Once somebody he killed, Duryodhan, then one person who she had, like, who she was greatly sort of wanting revenge from, maybe somebody from the Kaurava ranks.
I think it was Karna, but I'm not sure. But Bhim killed Dushasan.
Yeah, you're right. That's my muddle in my head. Thanks for the correction. But somebody, probably somebody from the Kaurava ranks, and that's when Arjun is supposed to have said this. So, all causing, all sustaining and aloof. This is page 322, Savitri. All causing, all sustaining and aloof. The witness looks from his unshaken poise, an eye immense regarding all things done, apart, at peace above creation's stir, immersed in the eternal altitudes. He abode, defended in his shoreless self. Such beautiful lines. So, the last bit talks about a person who is living in this unfathomable peace, wide delight, vast universal equality, and boundless God existence. So when a person's like that, all causing, all sustaining and aloof, the witness looks from his unshaken poise, an eye immense regarding all things done, apart, at peace, above creation's stir, immersed in the eternal altitudes, he abode, defended in his shoreless self, companioned only by the all-seeing One, a mind too mighty to be bound by thought, a life too boundless for the play in space. So beautiful. Normally our minds are bound by thought, but this was a mind too mighty to be bound by thought. It had broken the prison of thought. A life too boundless for the play in space. Normally our lives are bound by Leela, the eternal play. But this was a life too boundless for the play in space. It had transcended Leela. A soul without borders, unconvinced of time. He felt the extinction of the world's long pain. He became the unborn self that never dies. He joined the sessions of infinity. I'm reading this again. They are beautiful lines. Just feel them. That's why I say when you just read Sri Aurobindo, you get some taste of the experience. All causing, all sustaining and aloof, the witness looks from his unshaken poise, an eye immense regarding all things done, apart, at peace, above creation's stir, immersed in the eternal altitudes, he abode, defended in his shoreless self, companioned only by the all-seeing One, a mind too mighty to be bound by thought, a life too boundless for the play in space, a soul without borders, unconvinced of time. He felt the extinction of the world's long pain. He became the unborn self that never dies. He joined the sessions of infinity. An absolute equality in the mind and soul, Sri Aurobindo says, must become all-enveloping if we are to be perfect in the spirit. For the worship of the Master of Works demands a clear recognition and glad acknowledgement of Him in ourselves, in all things and in all happenings. It's so beautiful. The worship of the Master of Works demands a clear recognition and glad acknowledgement of Him in ourselves, in all things and all happenings. So real worship of God is not in temples. The real worship is if we can really acknowledge that He is in ourselves. He is in all things. He is in all happenings. That's the real worship. Equality is the sign of this adoration. We think adoration is all excitement and dancing and singing, but Sri Aurobindo says equality is the sign of this adoration. If you don't allow the moving life to move you, because you have this faith that everything is God, everything is happening according to His will. So being equal to everything in life is the sign of this adoration. It is the soul's ground on which true sacrifice and worship can be done. The worship we do in temples is one level of worship, but the true worship is this equality. It's the soul's ground on which true sacrifice and worship can be done. I'm reading, this is from Synthesis of Yoga, if my memory serves me right. It's an absolutely beautiful passage. I'm reading it again. An absolute equality in the mind and soul must become all enveloping if we are to be perfect in the spirit. For the worship of the Master of Works demands a clear recognition and glad acknowledgement of Him in ourselves, in all things and in all happenings. Equality is the sign of this adoration. It's the soul's ground on which true sacrifice and worship can be done. Next passage, for Sri Aurobindo's words again, for all here seems to be a mobile, half-ordered, half-confused organization of forces, but behind them one can feel a supporting peace, silence, wideness, not inert but calm, not impotent but potentially omnipotent. So he's saying that everything seems half-ordered, chaotic in the surface, but behind them one can sense a supporting peace, silence, wideness. So in our frontal being we are small, we shrink very easily when things go little here and there. But behind that there's a supporting peace, silence, wideness, not inert. Inert means incapable, not like that, but calm, not impotent. Impotent is powerless, but potentially omnipotent. It has the potential to be all powerful, with a concentrated, stable, immobile energy in it, capable of bearing all the motions of the universe. So beautiful. I'm reading it again. For all here seems to be a mobile, half-ordered, half-confused organization of forces, but behind them one can feel a supporting peace, silence, wideness, not inert but calm, not impotent but potentially omnipotent, with a concentrated, stable, immobile energy in it, capable of bearing all the motions of the universe. So now let's do a little concentration. Since we said we are focusing on the earth element, the earth element is something very real, something that's really a living essence, and I can't go into it as deeply as we did in the asana classes, but to whatever extent we can, let's do it. Okay, so sit tall. I'm not going to go into the earth element chakra as we did in class, because that has to be done in a controlled environment. But with your eyes shut, just think, what is your earth? If we are all here, somewhere or the other, Mother is our earth. So, connect the physical earth element with the Mother. That means bring to mind the earth element, mountains, flowers, trees. Connect with the solidity of the earth element, how you can jump on her, stamp on her, spit on her, but she absorbs everything with her smile and changes it into something beautiful. Throw garbage into her, she makes it roses. So, focus on any one symbol of the earth element. It could even be the banyan tree at Matri Mandir. or the service tree over the samadhi, or any mountain, anything that to you is a symbol of earth. Concentrate on it till you become one with its essence of non-reactivity, unchanging, grounded peace. In Savitri there's a line, "Thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep amid the roar and ruin of wild time." Time can bring ruin, time can be roaring in its intensity, but through it all, thy peace, O Lord, a boon within to keep amid the roar and ruin of wild time. That's the earth element. The service tree which stood its ground through cyclones, through everything. The banyan tree at Matri Mandir which also stood its ground. So now think of one trigger in your life which constantly brings out a reaction in you. A shrinking, a feeling overwhelmed, a pessimism. And focusing on the earth element of the symbol you've chosen and seeing Mother in that symbol, just offer reactivity to that earth element. So the vibrational name of the earth element in the science of sound Nada Vidya is Lam, Lumm, which is a Bij mantra. It has no meaning, it just resonates with the earth element. So first make a prayer to Mother, visualize the banyan tree or the service tree in front of you or a mountain. See how it stands its ground, doesn't shake, doesn't react, and make a prayer to the Mother to make you like that tree or that mountain, solid, holding your ground, unshaking, unmoving. And then as you make the Lum sound, Lumm, just offer that reactivity to the symbol of the earth element you're visualizing with Mother's face in it. So be clear in your aspiration of what is the nature of the reactivity you want to release. And then 7 times Lam, offering that reactivity to the earth element. Lam. 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 And again bring to mind the symbol of the earth element with Mother's face in it, and again articulate your aspiration for this reactive cycle to be dissolved from your nervous system, for your nervous system and brain to be rewired so that you don't react in the same old way every time the trigger comes. And slowly fold your hands together in a namaste. Take a long, slow inhalation. Breathe out with Om.